Oh man, so it has been quite a while since I made a video, and honestly, like I said before, I'll say it again, I'm pretty sure you got some allusions to this bullshit when I was sort of talking about it in my community post. I feel like when gaming gets really dry, I just shut the fuck up and I go play video games. Like, when gaming gets like really boring, it's worth it to actually go out and play a bunch of video games versus rumor baits or speculation bait, or when is Resident Evil 9 gonna come out, when is Dust Golem, Fat Golem gonna make something up, you know, blah blah blah. So gaming has been really in that dry period lately, and it's kind of boring. So I went and spent time with my family, my friends, and all that good shit, as opposed to talking about just nothing at that rate. But now we have something to really sink our teeth into, and that is the reveal trailer of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not really the biggest Nintendo person. I'm gonna say this like right off the bat so people don't get mad at me. They throw up their pitchforks, they get ready to stab me in the shin. I'm not the biggest Nintendo guy on the planet, so my perspective is from mostly a PlayStation guy, mostly an Xbox guy, giving my opinion on what I see here. And it's not gonna be really too bad or anything, but I might say something that might feel like a little negative, so I'm just warning you guys out the gate because I do have a criticism here or there. Number one is that for the design of the Switch 2, the Nintendo Switch 2, let's talk about the name first. Like, the name itself is fine. I have no issues with this whatsoever. I have no issues with them calling it the Nintendo Switch 2. It feels like a gradual upgrade. We've seen this before with the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2. I don't mind them sticking to a numerical versus changing their whole like philosophy at this rate, like making a drastic overhaul of the system. But personally speaking, I don't mind when companies do make a drastic overhaul. I thought it was cool when they went from the Xbox to the Xbox 360 and then the Xbox One. Like, I had no issues with that whatsoever. So them making the next logical step as to what worked is cool, you know what I mean? As for the design itself, to me, I'm gonna be honest with you, it looks like a routine bigger Switch. It's like that motherfucker just had like 4 cheeseburgers and got a little bit too big. This is what the Switch looks like now. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit on the thick side, but I do like how it seems to like just nest in medium-sized hands. So far it seems to be, you know, pretty cool looking, pretty sleek looking. It has like 2 USB-C ports for charging and 1 for the dock, maybe 1 for convenience sake when using the Switch in the tabletop mode while charging, and you can use both for convenience sake. They also have mouse support as well, and I think having mouse support maybe could help like for certain shooters and things of that nature, and sort of enhancing the ergonomics of the console itself. It looks really fine for what it is. I have no problem with the design itself being like a much thicker Switch, and hopefully that allows a little bit more horsepower under the hood when dealing with the console itself, when dealing with upscale games. As for the color scheme, it could be better. It's like that solid sort of gray matte scheme that you usually see with like some consoles out there that has like that one sort of color that you get, and then there's the bundles that will probably be clearly superior when they have like other colors, like maybe a Mario style color, or maybe Luigi, or going to like a certain Legend of Zelda style color where it's like that sort of olive green and they have the gold and everything, and it's just Legend of Zelda, maybe some purple in there. I think when it gets to those breeds of Switch 2s, then it's gonna be fine. Like when they start having like better colors, it's gonna be completely okay. Maybe a white Switch 2. You have to expect them to do this. It's Nintendo flair, it's Nintendo fashion, and it's just something you would expect to happen with different colors. But the base color is just kind of meh, in my opinion. I do like the different color Joy-Cons as well, where it's like one of them is like pink, the other is blue, and there's like this little accent in between the middle. It goes to the middle of the analog stick, and then there's the one that goes like, it slides down within the insides when you push it together. I know that sounds like sexual tension. What the fuck? It sounds like some weird sexual tension, but still, it does look like a pretty interesting console. It's just, I don't like the color. I think the color could have been way better than just like your standard gray. Maybe like a GameCube style color will work for the Switch 2 in general. And you know they're gonna roll out with that. You know they're gonna have that. You know we got to have it. Next up is more information is coming on February the 2nd. Honestly, you're revealing the console now. You should have just shot your gun now, showing more of a presentation with the games itself, which is what we're looking for. And I assume on this conference, you know, Nintendo likes to butter you up a little bit. They like to just butter you up like a whore, right? So as they butter you up like a whore, they're gonna have this conference on the 2nd. You know, I'll be watching, you know, I'll be paying attention. If they say something like super specific, I'm gonna give my 2 cents. I'm gonna give my opinion on that. What should you personally expect though from this conference reveal? And I wrote down some things of what they could talk about. Number one is that we need a release date window, like a full release date. Personally, they said, oh, it's coming out tentative 2025. It's like anyone could have speculated that, like the birds could have speculated that shit. Like anybody could have said that it was coming out on a tentative window of 2025. But when is this tentative window? When is the magic happening? When are we gonna get our hands on pre-orders, just in case, so everyone can know ahead of time? And I think that's like really important for them to reveal at this show event that they're having on the 2nd for this Nintendo Direct. The second thing is, of course, game functionality. We saw one of the Mario Kart games be played on the Switch 2. So what does that mean in general? What is the internal resolution for this thing? What does this device output at? We need to figure out things and find out like specific details here. And I think it is important to talk about that information at the conference. How is the backwards compatibility going to work with certain games? We need to know all this, and maybe we can have some Switch 2 games running just in case. I don't think the launch is going to be super spectacular, but maybe like show Metroid 4, like really fucking pumping on that thing, like fucking Samus Aran killing aliens, doing her fucking thing and just getting it done, showing it on that console. You know, that is the perfect opportunity to really get that gameplay in there and explain what is going on with the intricacies of the graphics, the gameplay, the substance, how it's upgraded from the original Switch on their blueprints. We need to find that out, get under the hood and see what's going on. Then we need to get a price. Now I know, like, when you have a console, you need to talk about the price. You need to reveal how much money is this thing going to be. Is it adequate enough for the common person to go out of their way and buy like a Nintendo Switch 2? Like, what is the cost? My speculation is that it's gonna be around $300-400, maybe at max 500 or a little bit upwards. No, I don't think like it's gonna be like more than fucking 500. They would have to be crazy in order to do that, but I'm thinking like maybe 550, 400 at best. I know it's not going to be as like cheap right now as the Switch, but it's Nintendo, so maybe they could budge a little bit, but at minimum I would say 300 to at maximum 550, right? I'm placing it there. It's depending on the hardware as well, and I don't think that the hardware is going to be like super jacked up. That's one of my worries about the Switch 2. I think that the hardware itself, it was leaked and rumored that it's going to be on par with a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, well, maybe you have your Steam Decks, right? You have your competition out there that can run games far more efficiently than what is essentially your base PS4 or fucking base Xbox One. So I think I might be personally disappointed as a tech guy on what they're running, but mostly when it comes to Nintendo, they haven't been like hardware gurus ever since like the GameCube era. Like the GameCube era was the last time where they were more powerful than another console, which was the PS2 back then. So I'm hoping that what they are going to put on this thing, and I'll talk about this later, is just the games itself, the first party coming out to rescue the day. And then we think about other worries and scalping. Just scalping. Scalping sucks dick, okay? I think you could universally agree that when something dries up and runs out and it sells like hotcakes, what people like to do is there is this artificial demand that is created. So once everything is sold out, internet storefronts are going to try to sell you on a wish of the console being like $800, 900, maybe 1,000, and people just cannot wait. They are impatient and they get bought up every time. If this happens, I'm gonna wait on the Switch. I'm gonna wait on the Switch too. I'm just gonna be like, well, Metroid, is it really worth that much to pay like $900 to some scalper that wants to fuck me over? Absolutely not. So I'm just gonna wait for the game itself. I'm gonna wait for the console to come into availability at retail price itself, and then I'll pick it up later and enjoy the game and enjoy the console and enjoy the systems of my choosing, you know what I mean? Next up that we have to talk about is this little disclaimer that Nintendo put on there, and this is a little bit of a negative, but here we go. They said that only certain Nintendo games may work on the Switch too. Like certain Nintendo games may not be fully supported or compatible with the Switch 2, and this leads me to believe that some of the backwards compatibility efforts are going to be dashed away. Some of your games may not work. This sucks when it happens. You know, we can be in agreement with certain things that are cool, awesome, and we can also be like, okay, this is kind of bullshit. I paid for a couple of digital games on my Switch and now I cannot go back and play them on my Switch too. I can play some games and I can't play all of them. That is a total L in my opinion. As I lose my voice, oh my god, I've been talking for a minute with no water, so forgive me. That is a L, because what if I want to play that particular game on my system? I hated it when PS5 promised like full backwards compatibility. You're gonna play all your old games, and there's certain games from the PS4 I can only play on PS4 on that title alone. That means that I can't go back and play everything, so I feel kind of robbed. I know they're telling us like immediately up front, they're letting us know now, and it's good that they're telling us this now, but I still think it's not the best idea, and maybe they should get in there and try to fix up some of these games so you can play them on full backwards compatibility. It just depends on what the list is. I would say at most at least come up with a list and tell us what we can and can't play, what may have problems, so we can be aware ahead of time. But I don't think this is the greatest idea to just say, hey, we're gonna launch it like this and not go in there and work on it. You know what I mean? I think working on it is key. That's paramount. You can do it, maybe just find out what's going on, right? And what is exciting to me personally about the Switch 2? Now, it's not all bad news. I thought the design looked good. I am looking forward to seeing what Nintendo first party does. I'm looking forward to seeing what new games are gonna be on this system. Like, you know how they say the incentive of the system is the killer apps that's gonna be on the system, and the Switch really blossomed with those games. Like they had really heavy hitters like the Zelda games that came out and fucking, you know, Mario, all that first party stuff. You're going to be covered, but you know, I want to see some really great third party games, third party support. And this is the most fun time for this console to drop, because that means that game developers are going to start announcing their new stuff. All right, I'm more focused. I'm more the Capcom guy. I fucking love Capcom to death. I know that company is going to want to capitalize on that console alone. And again, we look at leaks, we look at rumors. If they do a Resident Evil 0 remake on the fucking Switch 2 and all the other consoles and shit, and that'd be like their premier marquee like Resident Evil game they're promoting over there, that'd be so fucking sick. That'd be like some good promotion, right? It's like, here's Resident Evil back at home being marketed on Nintendo, because it was marketed on a Nintendo platform before with the first remake when they ported over from like marketing from games on the PlayStation 1 to the GameCube. So you know, it might be a return to form, even though it's going to be a multi-plat. So you know, why not just start to roll out what these games are going to be, how they're going to look, what are they going to play like in particular. And I think this is the most exciting time for those people. You're going to start seeing reveals for this platform, and they're going to come sooner than later. You're going to have directs based on some of these like new reveals and franchises. And you know, people like seeing these reveals, revivals, all that other stuff. They like seeing this on Nintendo Directs. So you're gonna get that twofold when Nintendo finally puts this thing out and it gets closer to launch, and it's gonna be more of a topical discussion. I cannot wait. I do have some questions, concerns, some lingering little nitpicks here or there about the backwards compatibility functionality, but overall I feel positive about this one, a lot more so than I did with the original Switch. And I can't wait to see more game reveals, more talks, more gaming news, and as they roll this thing out, so what is all the organic details they're going to show us about the Nintendo Switch 2. Anyway, I'm Renegade Operative. I am signing off. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, this discussion. What do you think of the Switch 2 being revealed? Are you impressed? Are you feeling like, man, I'm let down, it's not really that exciting? Or do you feel like you need more information? Sign off in the comments below and let me know. I'm Renegade Operative. I'm signing out. Take care of yourselves, be good people, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.